The Buccaneers have hired Dave Canales to be the offensive coordinator. 13 seasons with the Seahawks, quarterbacks coach last season. That's not a very attractive job either, because you have no idea who the quarterback in Tampa Bay is going to be unless Tom Brady decides after 40 days of retirement to come back again. I have a feeling that's far less likely to happen this year.
Yeah, I mean, the only quarterback they have under contract is Kyle Trask. And so, and Kyle Trask, we know less than zero about right now. So clearly Tampa Bay is going to be in the market for a veteran quarterback, whether it's somebody, who is closer to the end than the beginning, whether it's somebody like Ryan Tannehill, or whether, they decide to get in the Derek Carr stakes. For some reason, I doubt they would go for Derek Carr because they're being really pinched by the cap. And a lot of these contracts they signed with guys basically had phony years on the end. So the Piper is going to come calling this year and next year just to make sure that they get rid of some of the cap obligations on guys who deferred a lot of their money, and the Bucs helped them defer it by putting phony years on the end of those contracts. So I don't know that they can go and be very serious about going to get a $30 or $35 million quarterback in Derek Carr.
That reminds me of one of the little blips of news that came up last weekend that I don't think I ever wrote about, and I don't know whether or not any of the other folks at PFT did, that the Bucs are just going to take the $35.1 million cap charge for Tom Brady this year instead of trying to get him to do a dummy contract that would spread it out over to like 11 and 24, which would be more palatable this year. They're just going to take it. Now, part of that may be he was never going to do that dummy contract, which does leave the door open for him to come back because he becomes a free agent without that dummy contract. Otherwise, the Bucs would hold his rights. But that makes it harder to go out and pay a quarterback big money. If you're accounting under your cap, think about that. Your salary cap has a charge on it of $35 million for a guy who's not there. And that's become more commonplace. As the cap goes up, those numbers aren't as shocking. Last year, the Falcons had, $40 million on the books for Matt Ryan? So it happens. And that's the downside of stuffing all that money into the quarterback's pockets up front. There's a bill to pay at the end in the form of a huge cap charge.
But what you've seen more and more of is that teams take their medicine all in 1 year. Atlanta took their medicine in 2022. The Giants took their medicine in 2022 from a lot of the deals, the lousy deals that Dave Gettleman did. And I think that when Joe Shane took the job, he said, we'll take our medicine now and we'll be in a lot better shape starting in 2023. And if I were the Bucs, I would do the exact same thing. Don't let your franchise be bothered for multiple years for what you did in trying to win it all again, trying to run it back, so to speak. Take your medicine right now. And I think my guess would be that's what Tampa Bay is going to try to do.
And I want to mention Byron Leftwich very, very quickly here. He went from being almost the Jaguars head coach a year ago to now out of a job and not even mentioned for these other offensive coordinator vacancies. It just shows you how quickly, Peter, that window can close. And that's why I always say, if you're a head coaching candidate and that window's open, don't assume it's going to be open next year. Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator, no reason to think it won't be open for him next year. But a year ago, we just said no reason to think it won't be open for Byron Leftwich in 2023.
Yeah, and I mean, Ben Johnson wasn't guaranteed to get the Carolina job, although, honestly, I think he would have gotten the Carolina job had he been aggressive and really wanted that job. But I really don't blame him at all, Mike. He's on an up-and-coming team, and even if the Lions regress a little bit next year, everybody understands what a good coach he is. It's kind of funny. There are two Johnsons in this game right now who are going to be prominent offensive coordinators this year. Brian Johnson in Philadelphia, Ben Johnson in Detroit. And if I had to make a list now of the top 7 to 10 head coaching candidates in 2024, January of 2024, I would guess the two B. Johnsons would both be on that list.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.